Hi everyone, this is Mac Pierre-Louis, mediator and co-founder at InstantMediations.com. And in this video, I'm showing you how do you schedule a mediation and put breakout rooms into it. We'll go through these steps on how you actually do the breakout rooms at the scheduling stage, and then show you how you use them in the actual mediation. All right, so as usual, I tell people go to InstantMediations.com and click Start Mediation as the mediator so that it'll take you to the actual start page. And then you'll click the sign in to log into your mediator account. And there it will open up the meetings page on your Zoom profile. And so let's go ahead and start a new meeting right now. And we'll go through this one kind of fast in order to get to what's important in this discussion, which is the breakout rooms or the caucus rooms that we'll be using for the mediation. Okay, let me call this my mediation. John Doe and Jane Doe. I'm gonna scroll down. I'll skip all these other settings since I had already gone over them. Please see the schedule a mediation video for that. So let me go to meeting options, and I'm going to, of course, select waiting room, and this time I'll select breakout room pre-assign and select create rooms. Now there's no rooms by default, so I'm going to create my typical 3 rooms. I will create the first room called Breakout Room 1, but I'll rename it to the Petitioner's Room. And then I will hit the plus sign again to do Breakout Room 2 and rename that the Respondent's Room. And finally, because I know there may be some attorneys in this mediation, I will go ahead and create a lawyer's room just in case the lawyers want to step out and have a chat. I usually don't add participants into the rooms at this point in time. Frankly, I'm not really sure every single party who might show up at mediation. Usually I do, but sometimes you may have some surprises. So I will simply leave the participants blank, and I will have created my 3 rooms, and I will click save. And once I've done that, let me go ahead and save this mediation that I've just scheduled. And I do see my 9-digit meeting ID that I will then give to the parties, in this case, John Doe and Jane Doe, and I will go ahead, give them the meeting ID, and I will see them on the other side of the mediation. Okay, we're back. So now I'm on the Zoom mediation, and I'm alone. There's nobody else in this session, and I'm going to have them come in, both John Doe and Jane Doe, and as they come in, I'll admit them. But first, let me go ahead and create my breakout rooms, or see that they already exist. So I'll go down here to breakout rooms and I'll click. Now I do see that my breakout rooms already exist, and that's because I had already scheduled them a minute before. Now it's important to know, if I did not create my breakout rooms at the time of scheduling, I could have created them right now. Or if I did not name participants to be assigned to different rooms, I can do it again right now. But I suggest that the easiest way to do this is to make sure that the rooms are already created at the time of scheduling, so that you don't have to worry about this extra step. Okay, so here I am where my participants have all entered into the mediation, and there's Jane Doe, and there's John Doe. I've turned off their video and their audio for now, just to show you how I'm going to be putting them into each room. So normally John Doe and Jane Doe would be able to see me, we can talk, but now I'm going to quickly move them into their rooms because I don't want them to really communicate with each other directly. Okay, so right here, you'll see in the breakout room that the rooms are not started. Down here, open all rooms is grayed out. So I will be putting into the petitioner's room one of the parties. I simply assign, and up comes all the participants who are already active in the meeting, their names, and I'll be able to move them into the proper room. So let's go ahead and put Jane Doe into the petitioner's room. And for the respondent's room, I'll put John Doe. And for the lawyer's room, I'll leave that blank for now because there's nobody else. And me, as a mediator, I cannot, nor should I, go into a room by myself because I don't want the other parties to be hanging out in the main session without me. So I'll stay in the main session while the two participants, the two parties, go into their own rooms. Okay, so if everyone is assigned to their room, I will simply click Open All Rooms. But before I do that, let me make sure that some of my options are set correctly. I go to Options. Do I move all participants into breakout rooms automatically? No, I'll do it manually, like I've done now. Do I allow participants to return to the main session at any time? Well, it depends. If I feel comfortable that the parties can go to their own caucus room and be trusted to act right, and they would leave the caucus room and come back to the main session just right, then I have no problem with that. But if I fear that the parties might go into their caucus rooms, but then leave for whatever reason, maybe prematurely, and go into the main session and maybe cause some problems, I don't want them to be able to do that. So therefore, I'll be the one to manually move them out from their caucus room back into the main session. So in this instance, only for this training purposes, I'll go ahead and leave the option for the participants to return to the main session at any time because I want you to see how it might look like when the participant has the option to leave. If I uncheck that, they will not even have the ability to leave the caucus room until I close their room. And finally, let me go ahead and put this countdown after closing the breakout rooms to just 10 seconds because we don't have to sit around and wait all day for the rooms to close down and have that countdown. Usually it defaults to 60 seconds, but I like to just do it for a very short period of time. So those are the options. And by the way, if I wanted to recreate all the rooms and start all over, I can. Suppose I want to add another room for a court-appointed expert or an amicus attorney or some other facilitator who is a party to this lawsuit, to this mediation, then I would add another room and potentially give them their own room as well. Anyway, now I'm ready to go ahead and open up all the rooms, and let's do it. Okay, now as you can see, each participant, each party has a green dot next to their name, which means they are live in their room. And me, as the host, I can click join to go into their room and talk to them, spend time with them. I can also but put my cursor next to their name and I can move them. If I, for example, click move to by Jane Doe's room, I can move her into the respondent's room or the lawyer's room. And you can see the number next to each room of how many people are currently in each room. But let me go ahead and show you one thing I really, really like. In the typical physical mediation in a regular office, you might need to knock on the doors to tell the people, hey, I'm coming in. Well, this built-in feature called Broadcast a Message to All is a great tool, which basically allows you to type a message such as this, and click broadcast, which then sends that message into all the rooms. Now, don't worry, they won't be able to respond back to me unless they call me for help. However, they will be able to see that common message. One more thing about chatting real quick. When the parties are in their own room, they can communicate with each other just fine. They can talk privately and they can chat between each other if you've turned that feature on under your settings. But they don't need to worry that their chatting communication is going to make it outside into the main session. Whatever communication happens in the main session stays in the main session. Whatever communicate happens in a caucus room between the parties stays in their own caucus room for confidentiality. Okay, so if I wanted to end all the breakout rooms right now, I can just click close all rooms and everyone will be returned back to the main session, of course, after they receive their 10-second countdown notice that they were going to be moved back. But let's say I want to move myself into one of the rooms to go spend time with them. Let's say I want to go and speak to Jane Doe privately. So I will simply go to Jane Doe's room and click join. Question, yes or no? Do I want to join her room? Yes. So now I'm with Jane Doe and we are privately in her caucus room, in her breakout room. John Doe, who's in his other room, is not able to see us or talk to us. I'm able to have a conversation with Jane. I'm able to open up a chat with her and we can communicate. I can even share files with her. I can share my screen or do a whiteboard with her. And so we're able to have a truly private conversation without fear that the discussions that we're having in this room is going to be leaked out to the other. Okay, so if Jane had wanted me to come into this room and I was in the main session or I was with John Doe, she could simply have clicked the prompt on her toolbar that asks me to come, and that prompt is the help button that each participant will be able to see in their toolbar. Let's say I want to leave this caucus room and I want to go to John Doe's room. Let me do it. I simply click leave breakout room, return to the main session. Now I'm back in the main session and now I want to go into John Doe's room. I won't do it right now, but I will do the exact same thing I did with Jane Doe's room. I'll simply click join in order to go into his room and I can come back out. Okay, we've had enough time to have the parties talk privately to me, and now it's time to bring them all back. So I will simply click close all rooms. And as you can see, there's a countdown, 7, 6, 5, and each participant is told on their screen that the meeting and their rooms are over and they have all been moved back into the main session. So at this point in time, I'm able to see all parties. And of course, as the main mediator, I will make sure that I always spotlight my video so I can see all parties. Okay, that is in a nutshell how to do breakout rooms, caucus rooms, how to split the parties up and move them into the room by assignment and join the room and close out the room to bring them all back to the main session. All right, hope this was enjoyable and stay tuned to the next video. Thanks.